I was first trained in EMDR, and it was a game changer at the time because it really did bring everything together in terms of understanding trauma. And we were able to work with people and work through and process trauma in a way that talk therapy got to, but it took forever. And this got to it pretty quickly. Once I learned about parts work, I realized that we had these different parts of the system, manager parts and firefighter parts and exile parts. What I started to realize was sometimes when I was doing EMDR and we were doing that deeper work, that I was actually accessing a protector part when I thought I was accessing an exile part. And therapists in general want to go right to the exile. We want to go to the wounded child. We want to go to the exile part, the hurting part. What I realized though was that if I did get there, a lot of the time I was bypassing a protector. What would happen is you would have this amazing session with somebody. You work through some kind of major processing of some memory. I'm like, wow, that was the most amazing experience I've ever had. This person's changed for life, clearly, right? And they feel that way too. But then they come back a week or two later and they're like, relapse. And I was like, oh, why is this person relapsing? And it was only through working with parts and understanding parts that I realized I went around their protectors and I didn't include their system that was protecting for a reason. Your exiles have protectors that are there for a reason. It may seem to us like, oh, that's not good protection. But at one point in their lives, usually like childhood, we protect by either having like an emotional block, some kind of wall or some kind of coping means that protects us from having to be overwhelmed by our own feelings of shame and pain and everything else. When you suddenly become vulnerable out of nowhere through a process like EMDR, the protector parts freak out. Their sense of the reason for being is compromised. And so then they don't know how to handle that vulnerability. So what parts work does, it helps you to ally with, get to know, spend time with their managers and their firefighters and the protectors that are there for a reason, and to get them on our side. You want to have the protectors unburden themselves because they may have issues. They then become resources. You almost get permission with them. And then you work with the wounded child parts. Then when you're welcoming the wounded exiles, they're less wounded now, you're working with them, you're bringing healing, you're bringing love, compassion, and you're giving them what they always needed, these emotional corrective experiences, and you bring them into the system now with these protector parts that are welcoming them. And so now you're actually creating a system where all the parts are being respected and included, and then the whole system has a greater level of harmony. You're not getting around parts of the system because they're in the way. You're actually including them. That was a game changer.